From reaching new heights of fame to struggling to keep his marriage going, Tyler Toney has revealed how the dark side of YouTube cost him his relationship with his wife. Dude Perfect's Tyler Toney is someone almost everyone knows.
It's always a good time when Coach comes over to spend the night. The problem is he usually leaves the bathroom in quite the disarray. You've got to start by turning off the water for him.
But what he went through in his personal life was hidden from the world. In a recent interview with I Am Second, the comedian and his wife talked about the sudden fame and how it affected their personal life.
The thing that got us through it was not only our faith played a major role.
The fame had made his spouse feel neglected, and it wasn't okay. Dude Perfect rose to fame with no one expecting it to, and that was the point when Toney decided to leave his job and pursue his passion with the group. At that time, the comedy group was receiving big opportunities, and big brands were approaching them. And this became the reason why his wife Bethany also left her job, and boom, the two were living a life they had always dreamt of. A life of fame and good money, but it came along with some new issues. There were some problems that the two didn't think or even imagine of.
And watching Tyler have so much joy in that first year doing it, I quickly realized I want to feel that same joy too.
They were living the life they wanted, but one day things got out of hand. This was when the couple started to try to have a baby. That's a wish almost everyone has, right? And they did too. However, for Toney and Bethany, it was much more difficult than they thought it'd be. Bethany had several miscarriages, and there came a point where her pain was drowning her. She stated that it was heartbreaking and devastating for her, and that she was watching her husband out there on the top of the world, and he was doing all the cool things.
Keep in mind, Corey is serving a 1-game suspension.
Been there.
It's time to dive in.
But at the same time, she herself was just at home, heartbroken, confused, and angry. These feelings kept building up, and they turned into something worse. Bethany started feeling resentment toward Toney.
I was at home building up all of this resentment and bitterness and these walls. And
during this hard time, even though he was also going through pain, his work didn't allow him to show it. Bethany was also true in her rights, since she was the one physically dealing with the pain and grief. At one point, she got so angry at God that she started feeling like she was being ignored by him. And with that, she also started feeling more resentment toward her husband. She stated that she was watching Toney go to all those red carpets, meet celebs, and do things that were once-in-a-lifetime moments, while she was at home, broken. It was like Toney was actually prioritizing his dude perfect thing over his wife. But amidst all that, the couple finally got pregnant. Like, can you imagine losing all hope of ever conceiving, and then a miracle hits you out of nowhere? They were blessed with a healthy baby, and they could finally call themselves parents. But even though Bethany was happy, she still had those feelings of resentment from before. Time went on, and after about 2 years, she was expecting a baby once again. However, this time, the bitterness that she had accumulated within herself was nearing its breaking point, and it slowly started consuming her. While this was still going on inside her, she got pregnant with their third baby, but by this point, things had already gone completely wrong. Bethany felt alone while raising the kids, and the resentment had taken over completely. During the 3-part miniseries with I Am Second about their life struggles, she stated that all she could see was that she had another child and she'll be taking care of the baby all by herself. She also recalled the time when the pandemic hit, and it was during that time that they finally had no other option but to confront the problem that was ruining their marriage. She said that she spoke to Toney and said that she's tired of him prioritizing his work over their family, which resulted in them taking some time away from each other, and Toney eventually realized that he was in the wrong.
I was not the husband to Bethany that I needed to be. I was not the dad to my kids that I needed to be. I was struggling.
It was in the 3rd episode of the miniseries that Bethany talked about the healing phase. She said that after all that happened, Tyler finally started being the father figure he was supposed to be. According to her, God put them back together, and it was all God's way that Toney finally came around and started focusing on his family. Even though he didn't do that before, he does all the work now. She also revealed that her husband is a totally new person now. In fact, she even tells her mom that she feels like she's married to a new man, and that every single decision he makes now is a prayerful one.
they take into account the family. They take into account hey, how is this going to affect our wives back home with their kids?
Not just that, she also revealed how he now leads the family instead of just focusing on his profession. With all this, Toney himself also talked about his journey toward God and his family. He stated how it all started and how it's all going.
Maybe reveal some of those things to you, then your perspective can change in those situations.
Toney said that in December, there was a moment when he realized that God was talking to him. According to him, God said that to him that he has given him a platform and that he's done a great job there. But now he wanted him to do something better since he wasn't done with Toney yet. Apparently, God wanted him to share the gospel with the world. Tyler also talked about how he's a massive extrovert in front of the camera, but in real life, he's very much an introvert.
Set the camera on the railing, saw that everything was perfectly in frame, and he said, "Oh, dude, perfect."
When he talked about this with Bethany, she felt a bit skeptical after all that she had been through, but she saw him do what he thought God wanted him to do. This newfound faith, though, came along after he understood that worldly fame was taking away a lot from him. In fact, he was about to lose his marriage, too. In the second part of the miniseries, he stated that after kids, it wasn't just about him and Bethany. Instead, it was now about missing the first days of school and much more than that. And when his wife was pregnant again, he had to do something about it. To save his relationship, he knew that they weren't in a good place at all. Toney realized that he wasn't being a good husband to Bethany, nor was he acting like a father to the kids. He also revealed that for a long time, he was dealing with the issue of but now, looking back, he says that while it was their faith that saved them, it was also the community that was around them. People around them helped them deal with everything. He spoke about how one of his good friends, whose calls he wasn't even returning, showed up at his place. This friend walked in and gave him a big hug and told him that he was there for him. Toney stated that his friend never tried to fix something or give him advice. He was just there for him to listen and understand. According to Bethany, before their marriage almost fell apart, Toney wasn't the one who was leading the family. He wasn't there for church, and she was the only one, always dragging everyone for that too. But when he came back with solutions to fix their messed up marriage, he said that he never had a good relationship with God, and when Bethany heard him say that, it all started making sense to her too. She now states that it was because God wasn't a priority in the marriage. Instead, it was Dude Perfect that was being prioritized.
And that leaves us with one segment left. I'm having such a great time. I think we should do another 4 segments.
But after finding God again, the two became close. Tyler also talked about how that friend was also responsible for most of the good that has happened to him and his family. So he joined him on the journey toward God. And that's all on how the dark side of YouTube cost Tyler Toney his relationship with his wife.